Welcome, guys, back to the Blue Podcast Network YouTube channel or Spotify, wherever you guys are listening to. This is the Chequered Show, the first ever episode of the Chequered Show.
Exciting, isn't it?
Glad to present it. I've got Ethan and Matt with me to go through all the latest headlines, the races, all the drama, and all that good stuff. How are we all feeling?
Doing good.
Doing good. I mean, a bit bored after the last race, but the one before was good.
Yeah, no, one question I want to ask first is, did we all get up to early hours in the morning to?
We did.
Of course.
I did.
What are you doing if you don't get up for them? Come on.
Yeah. Bit tired, getting up for it, but
I went to Leicester as well straight after watch
Really?
that. I woke up at 4 a.m. No, 3:30 for Australia.
Yeah.
Had a whole day and then went to Leicester and got back at 1 in the morning.
That's what
It's
you
a
love
long
to see.
one.
That is what you love to
that's
see.
commitment right there to the sport.
Yeah.
Honestly. Better way to kick off then. Let's start talking about Melbourne.
Well, should we not kick off by saying what teams we're all rooting for the
Yeah,
season?
yeah. Let's
It's the first episode.
Yeah, come on, we got
Let's
to
get the
prime
fans.
it.
the
Little
first
bit
episode.
of our background. Who we guys rooting for?
We know who you're rooting for.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Mr. Sir.
Mr. Oh, well, no, sorry,
Mr. Sir Lewis Hamilton.
He's just Sir. Yeah, I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan, so a diehard fan, I'd say. Followed him for quite a long time. So, yeah. I'm praying on Ferrari to give him a car, and that is,
And not cock up in the typical Ferrari way, I guess.
Exactly, and we'll get more into that later with the whole disqualification and all that stuff, and the strategy. I'm already feeling the pain of what the Scuderia, the Tifosi have been feeling over the last few years or so.
Who do you support then?
I'm a McLaren man. I want Lando to win.
See, I used to like Lando, but I've kind of gone off of him a bit.
I'm maybe 50-50.
It changes because at points last season, like when he had the whole thing with the talent thing that he said about Verstappen last season, saying it's luck and stuff. That made him go down a lot in my estimation of him. But I'm wearing the McLaren shirt, so I kind of feel like I've got to back them. I don't really support a team. I always loved Sebastian Vettel, but obviously he left a few years ago. Yeah, but I supported him from his Red Bull days onwards. Like I was early on it, not from when he joined Ferrari.
Yeah.
But ever since he left, I never really found a new driver or a team. But I always want to see the British cars and British drivers doing well. So Williams as well, I like them. I love their driver pairing. I think, being honest, I think that's probably one of the best driver pairings on the grid.
Yeah.
Science and Albon.
I do
Piastri Norris. Do they?
Well, no, I'm saying.
Do they play tennis?
That's
Do they
a
play
very good
tennis?
driver pairing.
You probably got you go with the Ferraris. They have the best lineup, McLaren, and then you probably go Williams. That's
I
probably
think Williams
your
is
top
very
three.
high up there.
Yeah, look at the quality of Albon and Science. Science hasn't had a particularly great start to the season. We'll get more into it.
It speaks to the history of the team though. They can pull those drivers.
Yeah.
I like Williams. I've got some Williams shirts. I'll make sure I bring them in the next few weeks.
That's the thing with Lewis. Like I've seen him drive for McLaren, seen him drive for Ferrari. The one team I do want to see him drive for next is Williams.
He won't. No, I don't think.
He won't. I reckon Ferrari will be his last drive, but I know Sir Frank Williams. He was a massive fan of Lewis, and just that an historic team as well. I'd like to see him drive for Williams, but I don't think he will.
I don't ever see Hamilton at Williams.
No, I don't see it. I don't see it. But
he's an 8-time world
in
championship
another
winner.
world, see him drive for.
I think it could have happened earlier in his career, but I don't see it happening now.
I think Frank Williams. He wanted him right at the start of his career, but obviously he went to McLaren, and this is all history and things like that. But should we get started about Melbourne? I'll just open it up to the
What a race!
It was a
crazy race.
It was a crazy race. It was one of those where at the start it was obviously the whole race was practically raining and things like that.
It wasn't the whole race. It changed.
Not the whole race. It was all changing and such. It was more like we were waiting for something to happen, sort of thing. That race. It was a very kind of slow race. You still had the battle between the two McLarens, and then you still had Verstappen, who's always there and thereabouts. Always manages to impress.
I'm surprised seeing that Red Bull car. That I'm surprised now, looking back at it after China as well, that he managed to keep that car so close to Norris at the end. I mean, obviously, I think if the safety car hadn't happened and Piastri hadn't spun, then he probably wouldn't have been as close. But still, it was a testament to how good of a driver he is that he managed to get so close to winning that Grand Prix. It was, what, 3 tenths off near the end at one point?
I think he finished behind like a second behind.
Yeah, it was ridiculously close.
He was right there, and you look at the other driver in the Red Bull seat, Liam Lawson, who's massively struggling at the moment. As of recording, there's been no announcement.
But it looks set.
I'm seeing everything. All I'm waiting for now is just the announcement.
Yeah, I think it's basically happening.
Bring back Danny Rick.
I love Danny Rick.
I would have Danny Rick.
said that because like I think he's driving some will maybe suit Red Bull a little bit more and stuff.
He's the
but
only.
It's just I don't see it happening.
He's the only driver who's ever done well in that second seat.
Yeah.
He's the only one ever really to have done well.
I mean,
there.
you can argue Perez.
Perez, I
No,
think
not last year.
Mark Webber with
last
Vettel
year.
did well actually. To be fair, Vettel and Webber was a very good driver pairing. But in recent years, Danny Rick's the only one to have got that second car doing well. I mean, it was a good car, but still, Perez never did well with that same car that Max had last season, which was ridiculous near the start of the season.
Yeah, but the season before that, when at Abu Dhabi, when pretty much Perez had his fucking arms out for Lewis.
I mean, yeah, that was good. That was very good.
That whole season was probably one of the best secondary Red Bull drivers that there's been.
Well, yeah, since Daniel Ricciardo, I'd say that's the best.
I think the one thing about Melbourne though is we have to talk about at the start. If we're starting at the start of Melbourne, it's Hadjar. I felt
poor Isaac
Hadjar.
Spinning out right. He just kind of got onto the paint. And he just kind of starts to
I think the thing is though, that could happen to anyone. It's just such a shame it was him. Like because everyone was trying the conditions out. That could have happened to any of the drivers if they caught the curb. Like that could have happened to Hamilton, one of the most experienced drivers on the grid. If he caught that curb, it wasn't a skill issue to put it that way. It wasn't that. It was
even Mazepin didn't spin out on the formation lap on his first race.
Come on! No, he's better than Mazepin.
Didn't he go out? What? Didn't he go out on that first lap when he?
Yeah, he went out on the first. He went out in turn 3.
He has done well in his qualifying sessions. He looks to be fast, pace-wise in qualifying.
Hadjar, he is very quick. He's a very quick driver, and I don't want that sort of incident at Melbourne to kind of override because he came second in the Formula 2 Championship last year behind Bottas.
Yeah. Is his race management that good though? Because obviously he's qualified well, but in all the races, I mean, Tsunoda's had years with that car, obviously, but he's not been right on the back of Tsunoda in the last couple of races.
Well, to be fair,
in that race,
when we speak like China, the VCARB strategy was absolutely terrible. They both went for a
They finished like 15th and 16th, didn't they?
They committed to a 2-stop.
They easily could have got the points.
Oh yeah, definitely. You could know there was in and around there, and they went for the 2-stop. Everyone else went for the 1-stop, and we saw how Berman did, and
that car is potentially quicker than the Red Bull.
Well, that's the whole talk. I think Verstappen even came out and said that you put Lawson in that VCARB, and you will be quicker than what he is in that Red Bull. It's because the car's more. It's with that Red Bull, everyone knows that car is built around Max.
But even Max is saying it's hard to drive. Like, this is the thing. Yeah. They just seem to make cars that are too hard to drive. Like they're quick on paper. Like you look at them and if you look in the wind tunnel and the way it's designed, it probably is a really quick car. Yeah. But it's just difficult to drive, which means no one can get the most out of it, and no one ever will.
And it's very hard. It's very difficult to judge that performance of that Red Bull because Max Verstappen, whatever car you're going to give him, he's going to do really well in.
Because he's a good driver.
He's just that driver. So where do you say, Red Bull the second quickest, third quickest? But when you look at Lawson's performances, how good is that Red Bull? It's very unknown.
I think it's quite low down the order.
Well, the thing is though, the qualifying that's the one thing about Lawson that is making me think: is he a good driver or not? Because he's come P20, and you can't tell me that Red Bull was the worst car on the grid.
It's not.
He should be higher than.
He surely is.
He should be higher than 20th in qualifying, and I know you can put it down to mistakes because it's only really 1 lap, maybe 2 laps if you're lucky, but still, in a Red Bull, you have to be.
It's what you paid for. You paid to drive that Red Bull and pull out a lap and stuff like that. And
he said he's here to win, and he's not.
He's quite literally the opposite.
So, but what do you guys think of the potential of Yuki Tsunoda?
I think it'll be good for him.
I've always said he's a good driver. He got a lot of hate in the past.
He's
like
underrated.
People saying he's not good enough. He shouldn't be an F1. He's not that level. But I've always thought he's a good, consistent driver. Like he might not be the best on the grid, but he's definitely not near the bottom.
He struggled in his first season.
But everyone would. It's rookie season.
And I think things with Yuki Tsunoda, I think he's always been like a year behind because I feel like he had the Formula 2 season and he was promoted straight away. I feel like he should have had another year in Formula 2.
Maybe
because they needed another driver in that car. I can't remember who left in 2019. Obviously Albon and whatever else.
Yeah.
So, he was basically forced into that car, and I think it's taken up until now to finally show how good of a driver he is. And
yeah, I think he's showing it last
season. He's been showing it last year. I think up against Pierre Gasly, you're going to struggle. Anyone is. He's a great driver himself, and I think that he's kind of taken that upon himself since then. He's outdriven Daniel Ricciardo. He's outdriven De Vries, and he's doing really well up against Hadjar as well. So
it's not hard when he's going out on the formation like though.
Yeah. But I would like to see Tsunoda, and I think he would take the opportunity, obviously. But I do worry.
Of course he would. He'd be stupid not to. He'd be like, no.
Well,
I
was about to ask that. If you were Yuki Tsunoda, would you? Because I'm not sure. Because I think what's going to happen if he takes that Red Bull seat, he will struggle because it's such a hard car to drive. He will do better than Lawson's doing, but not much better. I think he'd probably be in the lower end of the top half. And if he was doing that in the Racing Bull, he would look really good. But in the Red Bull, he's going to look bad doing that. Yeah. And I think he's going to get unnecessary hate, and he's going to get those same comments he had last season of people saying, well, is he really good enough, or is he just kind of there? Which worries me. If I was him, I'd be really, really considering it.
Yeah, I think he seems pretty keen to, because have you seen the comments that he's been making about Lawson? He's, I should be in the car, sort comments. And
yeah, I feel like he should be in the car. I feel like he's been overlooked.
Oh yeah, I think he should be given the opportunity. I think he deserves it. I think, well, the whole shout before the start of the season, it should have been Tsunoda in the car in the first place, and they opted for Lawson. I think it's worth
take a rookie in their first season in one of the best teams in F1. I don't really get it. I mean, I guess you've got Antonelli at Mercedes as well, which kind of undoes that. But I just don't get why you'd put him in that team when you've got two drivers. So one driver in that second team that you own that's had a couple of years already.
I think it's more, for me, it's the Honda links, because I think, for me, I've always seen Tsunoda more as a Honda driver than a Red Bull driver. Maybe the fact that Honda...
Is that just because he's Japanese?
No, but he
might have to cut that part.
He was signed a part of the Honda...
He was, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was. And I think the reason why he came into Formula 1 as early as he did, because Honda wanted to have one of their own drivers as such. And, yeah, so... Now the fact that Honda are now leaving Red Bull, they're going to be with Aston Martin as their engine supplier next season. Is that maybe a factor into it, where they're going, he's more of a Honda driver, we're going to kind of stick to our own program? Maybe I'm being a bit, I don't know. Maybe that's kind of how I see it.
The whole thing with Red Bull, I just feel like if I was a driver, that would be the last team setup that I choose to join. Yeah. Over if you're talking Mercedes, Ferrari, or Red Bull's setups with the teams they have below them, Red Bull would be my last choice, because if you join Racing Bulls, they're never going to challenge for the top, because if they did, then Red Bull would use their parts and they'd become the better team again. So you're never going to do that. And if you're the second driver to the Red Bull, the first driver at Red Bull, you're going to be stiffed over again. The only way you can be good in that Red Bull is if you become the favourite driver. And once Verstappen's there, that's never going to happen. And he's probably going to be there for a while, because why would he leave?
No.
Exactly. The car's going to be built around him every year.
I mean, there were reports that Verstappen was going to leave last year.
Yeah, the whole thing's with the Mercedes and Aston Martin with whole Newey going there. I think if Red Bull doesn't give Verstappen a race-winning car in 26 or 27 and stuff, he has every right to go and leave and go and win championships, because he deserves to go and win championships.
That could be a good debate though for a future episode of which driver academy would you join.
Yeah, I guess. Well, you look at with Red Bull, they've produced so many. I think practically half the grid is Red Bull, former Red Bull drivers.
But they've all left,
and they've all left, and I think that could be a future debate at some point.
Should we go back to Melbourne now?
So let's get back onto Melbourne.
On a tangent, really.
Onto a tangent. So Hadjar's obviously spun on the start, caused the whole kind of on the formation lap. The race then got started. Doan crashed at the start as well.
The race struggled. Yeah. The rookies struggled, didn't they?
But that's the thing. I think we can talk about the overall, just the rookies in general in that Grand Prix. I think was it only 2 of them finished of all the rookies. Which
Fernando Alonso, the famous rookie as well.
I forgot about Fernando Alonso. And obviously Sainz was a victim of a spin at the start of
Piastri.
Well. Yeah. And Piastri as well went for a spin.
I felt so bad for him. I wanted him to win it.
That's the thing. That race was absolute carnage, but I loved it at the same time.
Oh, I love the race. That's why you love F1 though. It's the carnage. You never know what's going to happen.
It's well worth getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm glad Melbourne's back. at the start of the
calendar.
I'm very happy with
that.
With
I
that.
mean, maybe it's a bit of nostalgia from the age that we all probably started watching. So I don't know, when did you all start watching? I started watching about 2012 probably.
Yeah, 2012.
Like, around then.
I can tell you.
That's what we've been watching for ages, and Melbourne's always been the first race.
Yeah.
Having Bahrain as the first race, it always felt weird. It's Melbourne.
Yeah, especially with I do like the Australian fans. They're very passionate fans,
and it always
it's a nice
sparks
place to have
drama.
fans.
I feel like the race is always good quality at Melbourne.
Yeah, especially when we changed this new layout.
I like it. Yeah, I was skeptical when it came in because I loved that chicane. Like that chicane was so good, but it's improved the track. I think we can all see that now.
Yeah. But yeah, so Sainz had his little spin as well under safety car. Again, let's kind of talk about Carlos Sainz. Hasn't had the greatest starts so far with Williams.
You can't judge him yet, really.
It's been what?
Also, he got points in the last race. I know that's only because of disqualifications.
But
game's the game.
But this is what I mean. He got points. Williams are a team that in recent years have struggled to pick up points because they haven't been able to build a good enough car. Whereas now, they're picking up points. Like Albon's already outscored himself from last season, 2 races in.
Well, not yet. I think he's 1 point behind.
I think I thought he'd outscored himself. Never mind.
I think he got 18.
Either way, he's close.
Yeah.
And Sainz has already got points. I mean, they're already doing better than they were last year. And obviously, Sainz has been driving that Ferrari for 3 or 4 seasons now. Yeah. It's going to take time to get used to that Williams.
Yeah, that's the thing. We talk a lot of it to talk as Lewis needs to adjust to that Ferrari. We got to pay the same respect to Sainz having to adjust into that.
So what is it? The K1 button Lewis kept getting shouted at for.
The K1 button and all that stuff like that. So I think Sainz definitely needs a bit of time with that car. But to be fair, even just getting those points, even though he didn't actually finish in the top 10 in the race, still gives him that confidence as well going into Suzuka in a couple of weeks' time.
On that K1 button though with Lewis, should we talk a bit about that? Because obviously the media kind of been saying that there's a bit of a bad relationship with Lewis and his race engineer. But Lewis came out after the race and said that or in fact it might have been in the build up to China. He said, "Look, we're just trying to get used to each other's style because I've been with Bono for so long, but at the start with Bono it wasn't good either because you have to learn how much information you want, what you need." So what do you think? Do you think he was rude? Because people were saying that Hamilton was rude to his engineer.
Well, did you hear Bono cocked up the other?
That was funny. Yeah, that was really funny. Calling Kimi Lewis.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of the media just trying to make a story out of something. I think we were discussing earlier. Tsunoda, he's always shouting over the radio, Max and stuff like that, over the radios and stuff. When you're in the heat of the moment in those sort of situations, high pressures, those things are going to happen. I don't really see the massive issue about it. Of course, there's still going to be teething issues between Lewis and his engineer. That's going to happen and things. But as I said, I think they're just making something out of nothing pretty much.
Well, imagine, right, if you're running in a football game and you're running along and all you got is the manager in your ear shouting you, telling you all this stuff, you're going to get confused and just start shouting, "Shut up." Like, Lewis is going to, he has every right. He's driving in an intense situation, trying to get as much out of the car as he can. He's just being told, "You're 5 seconds behind the car in front." Like, he's like, "I don't need to know that." It's going to happen. And you'd rather him be to the point than to say, "Oh, please don't give me this information. I don't need this bit." Like, he has to be to the point because it's an intense situation.
I mean, it's only going to improve the relationship if he just is blunt with him.
Yeah, if he's honest, the engineer will respect him.
I guarantee by the end of the season they'll be chilling.
Yeah,
they'll be buddies.
Well, I'm sure they probably are already buddies. Yeah. It's just like we don't know it yet.
No, even during in China when they swapped the 2 cars, the Ferraris.
Oh yeah.
Well, basically, so they made it out as if Lewis wasn't allowing Charles to go past, but what?
Oh, right.
Right. So with the team radio in China, so obviously the whole thing was Charles was meant to go past Lewis, which he did. On the team radio, it came across as if Lewis wasn't letting Charles pass, but Lewis was the one that
he asked for. He said we should let Charles through.
Swap Charles. So again, that's just a bit of.
Well, I don't get it. Why do the media not like Hamilton? It seems they're trying to spin him as a villain.
It's just trying to create a story out something.
But they're saying, "Oh,
it's because he's the biggest name in the sport."
Yeah, they're saying, "Oh, Hamilton doesn't want to let Leclerc through." Like, there's already drama at Ferrari. No, there's not. He's saying let him through, and he's just trying to find the right place to let him through so the Ferrari don't lose time. Like, he's being sensible because he's an experienced.
Wait till they hit each other. That's when the media.
Well, they already did technically, but properly actually.
Wait, so what else do we want to say on Melbourne then before we move to China?
Do we want to talk about... Well, we'll talk about Piastri and we talk about the Ferraris at Melbourne. Which one do we want to talk about first?
Let's go Piastri. I felt gutted for him because he was so close to Norris the whole race. And can you imagine that last lap after the safety car if Piastri hadn't gone out and he was the one a couple of tenths behind? Because you know the move he made on Lewis right at the end of the race?
What move?
He could have made that on Norris at the end. Like, can you imagine? And Piastri won his home race. I was gutted.
It's
I wanted him to win.
Isn't it? You know, Aussies always struggle when it comes.
Yeah,
to
Ricky always did badly there.
So
I was gutted though. I
don't think he would. I don't think he would have won it though.
I don't think he would have done.
I thought Lando he drove an impressive weekend. Drove a great race.
This is the thing. You don't always have to. Sorry, you don't always have to, come from last to first to be impressive. Like, you can be on pole and win and it be impressive because those conditions, you saw how many drivers struggled and he barely put a foot wrong all race.
Yeah. But no, overall, I think Piastri was pretty impressive, just putting that pressure on. No, there's even, again, there was kind of like team order issues between the McLarens as well, with the whole, don't pass him here, but now you guys are free to race.
They're going to have that problem. They've got two very good drivers, and it's always going to happen.
Do you think that if, say next race, Japan, they get another 1-2, and Piastri wins again, and he starts to close this gap to Norris, do you think the team will still favour Norris? Because I do. I think if they're in a position where they've got the two drivers at the top of the drivers' championship, they'll want Lando to win it.
Yeah,
but that annoys me because I think it should just be let them race.
Yeah.
Like, look, think about so many of these great battles for the World Championship from years past. A lot of them are drivers who are driving for the same team who are allowed to compete. If you let these drivers compete, this season could be so exciting.
Yeah, it could be very similar to the whole Rosberg Hamilton.
Exactly. Can you imagine
teammates, two really fast teammates, But
they are the best driver pairing on the grid. Like, hands down.
If they're not allowed to fight, it'll be so annoying.
I'm not having Lewis and Charles. I'm having
Lewis and Charles. Lewis
and Charles are probably the best.
It's 7-time world champion. Leclerc is one of the quickest guys out there.
Yeah, I think it's Ferrari, but McLaren are close.
I'd say McLaren.
I do. It does annoy me though because I'd rather see Piastri win it. I'll say it. I prefer Piastri. I think
I see Lewis win it.
But out of the McLaren drivers, I think Piastri's probably. He seems much nicer and he seems less.
I like his
character. To put it simply, he seems less up
Horner
himself.
said that. Horner said he would rather have Piastri than Lando.
Exactly. I think he seems more calm and composed, and he seems more humble.
But yeah, when he wins a race, I'm glad to have won the race.
But
he just doesn't celebrate.
but either way, I'd much rather see him win it. But I feel like if McLaren have the position where they can have either one, they'll favour Norris, which is really annoying. I know he's a first driver because he's been there longer, but surely just let him race.
Yeah.
Let him race.
Piastri won't want to be second fiddle.
No, he's not. He's not there. He's coming to. He's coming to that team initially and gone, right, I'm going to play second fiddle, but eventually I want to beat you.
Yeah, but being second choice is probably like the worst thing you can do, especially for a person of his level.
Yeah,
being second choice is like the worst thing
because he can 100%. If he's not being treated fairly to what he believes he should,
he can go to many of those
other teams will become calling.
He is a future world champion. Piastri and Norris are both future world
champions.
Well,
it depends if they join the right teams, but they definitely have the
based
potential.
on their level, they can
world
both win
championship quality.
Yeah.
Definitely are world championship quality.
But it's just. Do you think later on in the season, Piastri could, if McLaren do that and they favour Norris, could we see Piastri, stop listening to team orders, take Norris on?
I'd love to see it.
I would love the drama. I would love the drama.
I don't think so.
I think he's too respectful though. Yeah. I don't think he would.
I think at the end of the day, he's employed by McLaren. He's got to do what
and it's early in his career. He'll probably have other chances. But then, what if he looks back at this in 10 years' time and this was his only chance?
Look at drivers. Look at you know, so many drivers in the past, they have one opportunity to go for a championship, and that's it. So with Piastri, he's going to got to take those opportunities as such. Look at Jensen. When Jensen won his championship, that 2009 was the best opportunity he had, and he won the championship. Yes, he had McLaren. He had the good years even as well. Everyone loves Button. Who doesn't love him?
Should we annoy you by talking about Ferrari?
No, please, no, please. For a second, because we was messaging in the group chat when it was all happening, and the whole stuff between I thought Lewis was going to win the race. Yeah, I thought he was going to go on top because he was leading.
At that one point,
the whole strategy. I was like, God, Lewis podium. But no,
if they'd not pitted, if they'd changed it slightly and he'd stayed on Inters for longer, He could have won the race
easily.
Yeah.
It's just a typical Ferrari cock-up strategy.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. You know,
Plan
Ferrari
Plan H
heritage
or whatever.
Ferrari heritage.
yeah. No, it's again, we're just kind of typical Ferrari again. And to be honest, I don't think they've been terrible in terms of strategies in the past, say, like year or so since Fred Vasseur come in. But in that situation, there
They've got better for sure,
yeah.
but they still have errors.
It's not quite Monaco a few seasons ago.
No.
Shocking.
But yeah, so I'm very disappointed with Ferrari there. But again, it's just expected. And Lewis finishing P10 on his debut.
It's not what you'd want.
I think it's in that like
At
the
least he got
lowest points scored for like a debut Ferrari driver or something like that. I can't remember the exact
points
stats
scored.
or points scored, whatever. The exact stat. But
the sprint race.
The sprint race. Let's go over to China now.
The sprint race.
A lot of joy I had seeing Lewis on obviously starting from first and actually winning the sprint race as well. Yeah,
it shows he's got the pace. It shows he does have the pace.
That's the thing. A lot of people write Lewis off, and the one thing I say is never write Lewis Hamilton off. You just cannot do it. Yes, in my opinion, I don't feel like he's got the exact sharpness he used to have when he was at Mercedes and winning all those championships because he's 40 years of age.
I mean, he is the GOAT.
He's my goat. He for sure is the goat.
Like no one should have an opinion otherwise.
No, I think obviously before he'd won the 7th, you could have said it was Schumacher, and probably rightly so. But now, the records that man holds,
you
can't.
He practically holds every single record like possible, and statistically the most successful driver. That's a debate for another day. Let's get back over to China. But yeah, Lewis on the pole, very close gap between the two. Between him and Verstappen in qualifying, was it like?
It was close. It was like 0.081, I think.
Something like that. And yeah, I was because when I was watching it, obviously Lewis was done his lap before. All we're doing is waiting for Lando, and he just goes straight in. I'm thinking, yes, come on, but then Max is still on his lap. I'm thinking, this is Max Verstappen. He can do something here.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Lewis held up for the pole, and then 3:00 in the morning on Saturday, I was obviously getting up for that. And Lewis just controlled the race, had a little bit of pressure from Max during the race, and then Max's tires kind of fell off and then got passed by Piastri. And it's just another dominant Lewis performance, just showing how good he is. And given the car, he can produce good performances.
Yeah.
And was basically he's basically quicker than Leclerc the whole weekend, apart from when it came to the race.
Yeah, I was going to say the race was really weird, right? Because Leclerc, he had front wing damage.
Yeah.
The whole race.
Yeah.
And he appeared to be quite a bit quicker than Lewis.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just going to get rid of their front wing.
Yeah, maybe that's how it worked. Maybe Lewis should have just done that, and he maybe would have.
That was really weird. Like, how was he so much quicker? Because obviously the rest of the weekend, Lewis had it. I don't know if it's the setup changes they made. Because Lewis said after the race they changed the setup because of the sprint race, because they thought that they would make it even quicker.
Yeah.
And it made it a lot worse.
Because I think they didn't predict the track conditions, how quickly the tire was wearing. Maybe it was something to do with that, and obviously they got it quite wrong. I think the track temperature was quite lower when it came to Sunday. And stuff and whatever. The hard tires worked much better than what I would think all the teams predicted as well compared to the mediums.
Yeah.
But that's why there were a lot of teams, because remember Fred Vasseur after the sprint race said that it's going to be a two-stop strategy, and it ended up being for most teams apart from VCarb and I guess Lewis as well, being a one-stop, because his hard tires was able to hold on for much longer than what the teams actually thought. Which was interesting.
When was the last time Lewis was on the top step, by the way? I just realised that. It's been a while.
Top step, Silverstone, last year.
Yeah, of course.
Silverstone.
What a drive that was.
About that.
What a drive.
Yeah, it symbolises that.
Got all your hats.
Yeah. But yeah, so should we just talk about Ferrari in general over the course of the weekend while we're on Lewis? Obviously got the disqualification.
I mean, it's
so fun. It's just peak Ferrari, isn't it?
Where did I see it the other day? It's like,
I mean, it's
by half the mil of that.
They got out credit cards that literally half the. I mean, it's so close. I mean,
it's the principle of it.
Look,
for me,
being honest, probably bullshit, isn't it? Like that he's been disqualified. He shouldn't have been, really.
Well, if that's what
I mean, they've got to make an example.
I know they have to make an example.
If you can go, I think it was like 0.4 millimeters. Then how far more can you go? How do you know what I mean?
Because the thing they said, which Ethan's hinted at, is there's a line somewhere And if they don't stick to it, then teams are going to start bending the rules because they say,
exactly.
"Oh, well, look, he got away with having 0.04, so why can't I?" Like, it's you have to take a firm stance. Like Leclerc was 1 kilogram underweight, but you have to take a firm stance. Although then again, a kilogram in F1 can be quite a lot.
It is a lot over race distance.
Like, that's what I mean. If he's a kilogram underweight the whole race, that's probably why he was faster.
I say maybe it explains his pace up against Lewis.
But they didn't. They say they didn't do it on purpose. But then again, you have no way of proving that.
No,
I feel like there are some dark arts.
No, I don't think there was because they said it was about tyre wear, and it makes sense because they thought the tyres were going to last better.
Yeah, remember when George Russell last year in Belgium when he won the race and then his car was underweight as well and he got disqualified, and a lot of the talk was it was the tyres because he won so long into the race with.
Yeah, because the tyres obviously weigh quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Have any of you ever been to first place where you can do like practice pit stops? Those tyres are so heavy. They're really heavy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's fair enough. You know, they broke the rules and that's how it is. And the thing is with Lewis, I remember was it 2023 he got disqualified for the exact same thing with the skid block.
Yeah.
As well. At Austin. So it's kind of like a little bit of deja vu. I can remember that a couple of years ago. But overall, I think if you're Ferrari, you can kind of come out of the race with positives despite the disqualification. I think you look at Lewis's performance on the Saturday in the sprint and stuff. You take that and go, you know what? Yeah, you know, Lewis seems pretty settled in. We do have pace when it's there. So I think for Ferrari, you take that as a definite positive. I want to come back to McLaren as well. Obviously, Piastri winning. The race as well.
Very happy about that.
Got the pole as well with his first ever pole position in Formula
1. I was surprised when I read that. But then I went back and thought about it. And I was like, yeah, he's never got a pole, but how?
It's crazy to think
because he's been so good over the last season and obviously the start of this one as well. But he deserved that win. He was quicker than Norris. I
thought Norris made quite a few mistakes across the weekend. You know, I think qualifying he didn't complete his final laps and stuff. So. I think Lando Norris, he'd be a bit disappointed that weekend. Piastri dominated the whole race. I think McLaren identified the key of, you know, looking at Lewis. Lewis didn't have near enough as degradation in the sprint compared to others. So having been the team, being the driver's front two, just helps with the tyres, and you saw that Piastri kind of benefit from that.
The other thing we have to say with McLaren though is the ending. That was quite nervy, wasn't it? For Lando Norris,
he dropped like 4 seconds or something like that at the end.
But it was really weird because it seemed like, I mean, I didn't really understand what they were saying on the radio, but it seemed because I've with my clutch before in my car, my clutch is gone. And like you push the pedal down and it just doesn't come back up and it stays on the floor. It seemed like that was what slowly was happening to Lando's brake. So it came up and it didn't come back up all the way and it just got worse and worse.
The pedal was going long, so like basically every lap it was getting kind of further and further away.
Because I've had that with my clutch because that's exactly what happened with my clutch. It coming up slightly, then it came up less and it stopped.
Yeah.
I imagine one more lap for Lando Norris and his brake would have stopped coming up. Possibly. And he would have lost his brakes.
I think it was going like. I think it's like half a lap or something.
But I have to say, I've had that with my clutch before, which you can drive a car without.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having that with a brake because the feeling when I pushed the clutch down, I was like, shit, that's not there. Having that with a brake and you can't stop, that must have been terrifying.
In those sorts of speed as well.
It was, if you consider the final, basically the second to last turn, like when you basically have to slam on the brakes after a long straight. If the brakes go after that, you're going into the wall head first.
And definitely, and that later, Russell would have had him. Verstappen potentially would. I think Verstappen only finished like 5 seconds behind Lando. So potentially, you know, Lando Norris not on the podium. And you look at that sort of management from Norris. That's very important, you know, in terms of the championship for him. He obviously leads the championship as well.
Who do you reckon wins the championship this season? I know it's very early doors.
Norris is
very early door. I think the favourite is. Norris, I think right now Norris.
I'm going for Piastri.
Piastri. Come on,
Piastri.
Just I think, you know, he had that experience last year. He kind of knows how to go for the championship and stuff.
Well, has he learned? I said this after the first race. I was saying that the maturity that Norris showed was a different level.
I think he's coming to this season with a totally different mentality.
The way
I feel like it needs a bit more arrogance.
No, not the way he spoke off the track, but the way he drove on the track. The maturity was there. Like he didn't make silly mistakes, and it was like at the end there where after the safety car at the end where Verstappen was catching him, they said to him, don't overdrive the car and make a mistake because we'd rather finish. You have the pace in the car, and he listened to it. I feel like last year he'd have tried harder to get further ahead of Verstappen, and he might have lost it on a curve slightly. And
but I've always thought Lando Norris under pressure has been good anyway. You know,
He has, but there's a new level this season. I feel like.
I think this year he's coming with a different attitude. More, I said, I think come more a little bit more arrogant and as such, a bit more mature. I think
there's a different level to it now. The calmness.
Yeah, because I think last year it was his first real opportunity. For me, I thought Max was going to win it the whole time anyway. You just need to win one race and that's it. But he's kind of had that sort of he's kind of had that a little bit of experience, and he's coming to this year kind of learning off that. I believe.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how his starts are this year, because last year they were absolutely woeful.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like how he's improved there.
Yeah. The another thing I want to say with the Red Bull, going back to them very briefly, is I thought like that car though. I know we said it's how bad it is. It just seemed to come alive though in the last 15 laps of Verstappen. Like those last 15 laps, he was flying.
Yeah, he
could turn it on a bit.
I think it must be a car that just works better on low fuel. Like because the qualifying Verstappen's had the pace. Really impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I think that car just probably is better on low fuel, or maybe they're just setting it up for low fuel runs better. But the Lawson like in that Chinese Grand Prix.
It was
even worse than Melbourne.
It's time to go.
Can we quickly talk about the Haas cars?
Yes, I was going to say because I was going to use that to move on. I was going to say the funniest bit of the race was Lawson being overtaken by Berman and him saying "ciao." Oh.
I remember speaking to my when he made the pass. I said to my stepdad, I was like, "You're Liam Lawson in the Red Bull, and you're getting overtaken by Haas."
Yeah, it's not good.
That surely isn't good. And
then he goes, "Ciao."
By the way, I don't know how Berman didn't get driver of the day.
Oh, he was incredible.
And Antonelli got driver of the day.
Antonelli is. I rate Antonelli.
He came. He went from 8th to 8th. It was a good drive, but it wasn't impressive. He was consistent.
I would have put Ocon there. I would have put Behrman. I would have put both of them.
But Behrman, right? He was 16th, and he worked his way up the field because I thought he was going to have to stop again because he was on the wasn't he on the mediums?
I think he started on the hards and he went on to the mediums.
But they lasted ages. They lasted like nearly 30 laps, I think, like 25 maybe.
No.
But he made them last a lot longer than anyone else. But his switchbacks in the final turn, like the two that he made, I think the other one was on doing, wasn't it?
I think his battle with Gasly was pretty strong when he got into the points.
Yes, that was good.
And Ocon again, really strong performance. I think for me, Ocon personally underrated. Maybe it's because I have a little bit biased because if you drive for Mercedes in the past or whatever, I have a little bit of affiliation with Mercedes. I have a little bit of a soft spot for Ocon, but I think he's very underrated. Yeah, good job, solid job. Didn't put his foot wrong. 10 points in the bag for Haas to see it. Comparing last race with Haas, where they were literally a boat.
They were awful.
And now they're there. Like it's incredible.
I think because after Melbourne they were saying they've gone backwards. Like hang on, I'm trying to remember what I said. Yeah, they had a lot of criticism after Melbourne about the car. They said that it was awful and stuff. Of now it seems like they've made a couple changes. They're starting to learn what works setup wise, and potentially they've improved it a bit. And as we said with some of the other lower down teams, the driver pairings are really good. Ocon, he's been so good with Alpine, and Behrman last season when he drove for Ferrari for that bit, he looked really good. Obviously, he's impressed in the lower formulas as well. So I do think Behrman's good. I have a soft spot for him as well, with him literally living 15 minutes down the road from where I live in Chelmsford.
It's pretty close to us.
Another thing as well, I think, for my year group anyway, I think Behrman's in my year group, Bortoletta's in my year group, Hadjar's in my year group. It's mad to think. Antonelli's
year below.
Year below. It's like, mental to think how many young drivers are on the grid. It's nice to see the young drivers on the grid as well.
I think the future's bright. The future's very bright.
I think we've got a lot of good drivers,
especially in 2026 as well.
It's kind of for me. It's the opposite to like. I know it's really random comparison. It's kind of like the opposite to tennis. Like people are saying with tennis, there's no big names now. Whereas F1, there is so many big names coming through. Like all of them. Like I could see Piastri's going to go on and be a big name. Norris will. Verstappen's obviously already is. You've got the likes of Leclerc. Still hasn't won a World Drivers' Championship, but he could.
I don't reckon he will though.
I don't think he will, but he could.
I've always thought Joe with these new, you've got Leclerc, Norris, Piastri, these Russell, these guys like these are going to be future world champions. One of them drivers will not be a world champion. It just doesn't happen. Look at Lewis won a lot of championships in a row, and then you had Vettel, you had Schumacher. So many great potential drivers came through there, and they just.
I'm gonna say you got to remember that we're saying all of these drivers could win a title, but
they have potential to win a title. But
the likelihood is one driver will win most of them.
Yeah,
and there's so many drivers who missed out. Like if you think back to the 2012s, that grid there, what a grid!
That's the best grid we've had in ages.
I know, but like,
what good that was.
But my point more is, look at the high potential drivers there. How many people looked at and thought he's going to win a world title? He's going to win a world title. Only a couple of them have.
Yeah, there's so many names, even like Montoya as well. Look how strong he was, after Schumacher. Never won a title, but he's still held as a great racing driver.
Like Rosberg as well. If Hamilton wasn't at that team, they had a slightly worse driver, he'd have probably been a 3 or 4 time world champion.
Exactly. And so you could be right place, right time. Even for me, Fernando Alonso won 2 titles in 05, 06. For me, he should be a 3, 4, 5 time world champion. That's how good he is.
He's a great driver.
But he's just been stuck in a McLaren.
Raikkonen as well could have won more, I feel like.
Who?
Raikkonen,
yeah, exactly. I think he could have definitely won more championships than just the one as well. Again, to be in the right place, right time, as such as well. We've gone over Haas. I'm trying to think of who else do we need to...
Williams had a good race as well. Double points there.
Williams and points. I want to actually talk about Lance Stroll. He's been doing really well, hasn't he? He's been picking up a couple of points.
I'm going to say he's actually like...
I'm not a big fan of Stroll.
Well, no one is. That's the thing, right? With Lance Stroll, I think the problem is... Look, F1 is a sport you pay to get into. There's no denying that. You have to have a decent amount of money to get to the point where you're going to be able to be an F1, because to get through karting and stuff and get to a high level, that's what it requires. A lot of drivers are paid drivers, but Lance Stroll is kind of the epitome of it.
He's that
and that's where he struggles.
It's the equivalent of your dad's the manager, so you play.
I think that's the thing. It shot him in the foot.
Yeah.
But I do think he would still be in F1 if it wasn't for his dad.
I'd like to see him go to a different team.
I know, but he's not as... He is not, obviously, in the top 5 drivers in the grid or anything, but he's probably not in the bottom 5 either. He's just there.
It's just...
That's the thing with Lance Stroll. In 2020, before he had his crash at Mugello, he was 4th in the World Championship.
He's a decent driver. He's okay.
Got that year. I think he's one of the youngest drivers to get a podium at like 18 years of age at Azerbaijan.
He's never...
That's the thing with Lance Stroll. There's definitely a good driver in them, but he just never...
He's not going to set the world alight.
No.
But he's okay. Yeah. He's okay. And he's solid.
He does the job. He's like James Milner.
Yeah, I think if
he is. It's a good analysis, yeah.
I think definitely probably would have made it into... Because I think he had links to Ferrari like very early on and stuff. And he won the Formula 3 championship as well. But I think he definitely would have got a seat in Formula 1. Whether he'd still be in the sport now is a different question.
Well, look at Mazepin, right? If, like, he was a pay driver as well.
Yeah.
He got kicked out of the sport because he clearly wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
The same would have happened.
And the whole thing with Russia.
Well, obviously, yeah. But
Haas were like...
But...
we have a reason.
But Stroll... The problem was Stroll is, like, if he was as bad as Mazepin was, they would have found a reason to kick him out. Yeah. His dad cannot stand by and watch it, because otherwise he's going to get accusations of being soft and stuff and all of this problems, and it would have caused loads of problems with his dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he may not be the best driver in the grid, but he's not terrible.
No, there's definitely...
It's just a stigma around him because his dad owns a team. If his dad didn't own a team, no one would bat an eyelid. They just say, yeah, Lance Stroll's all right. And that'd be it.
That's the thing. That's the thing with Lance Stroll that I said. There's a good driver in him, but he'll have good 3-4 good races a season, and that's quite it.
I'd say Hulkenberg impressed me in the last couple races.
Hulkenberg.
Well, actually, not so much in China, but Australia, he was really good. I think did he get points? He did get points, didn't he?
Finished 7th.
Yeah, 7th. Yeah.
Typical Hulkenberg, always outperforming the car and stuff like that. So underrated.
What do you make of Bortoletto so far?
I think he's been alright. I think definitely coming into a team with Hulkenberg as your teammate, it's going to be very difficult.
And the problem is as well, I'd imagine, there's not enough evidence yet, but I'd imagine that's the worst car on the grid.
Yeah,
I think probably the worst.
I do think so. I think still.
I think they're just holding out for next year.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Waiting for that Audi investment and stuff. That's
but
the project.
they're a bad team probably. But the one thing I would say is he obviously spun on the first lap and he was 19 seconds behind. Yeah. I think he finished 9 seconds ahead of Hulkenberg.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he made up 28 seconds on his teammate.
Yeah.
And it's a good teammate.
He's from Formula 2. You don't win Formula 2 because you're slow and stuff like that. There's definitely a good driver in him there. Hopefully he does well, and let's see how he continues on. I think a lot of the rookies, very early days to judge how good they actually are. I think Antonelli be getting a good idea of him. I still want to see more from Doan as well.
People have been a bit critical of Doan as well, saying he's probably not done enough yet.
Well, for me, I've kind of said, like, give him to halfway during the season, and then Colapinto's in that car. Like I just really can't see that happening.
Suzuki's a good test. I think that's obviously coming up next. I think it's one of the more tricky tracks on the calendar. You got the S's, and I mean you got hard corners like 180 as well.
130R.
130R even. Yeah. What am I going on about? 180. Fucking hell.
And you called Suzuki as well.
Suzuki. It's been a long day. We're nearly done with the day, but. Yeah.
Just while we're on Suzuka, do you want to have predictions?
Yes, let's do Suzuka predictions.
What are we predicting?
Exactly? So should we predict the
top
podium?
Three? Yeah,
the podium, and then just to chuck one out, should we just do P10? Just to be,
what?
Just
why P10?
Don't know, just a random.
Let's do our pole sitter. Let's do the top 3 in the
top
race.
3, 10, and we'll go last.
And then we'll do
Bosch.
Yeah, last.
All right.
Probably like whoever DMS.
Right, so I think
whoever finishes the race last
classifies as last.
I'm going for a rogue shout with pole. I think it'll be Max Verstappen because Red Bull historically has always been good in corners.
Yeah.
The chassis has always been good. Suzuka's a hard track corner wise. Yeah. The Red Bull might come alive there.
Yeah.
I'm going for Max.
To go Max.
No, that's pole. Max on pole.
Okay.
We'll do pole first.
So we're going to do qualifying. So qualifying pole, first, second, third, P10 last.
Yeah.
Cold.
Okay.
Right, so who's your pole?
I'm going to go similar to you with Verstappen. I literally the exact reason, like you said, the chassis is made for corners.
Yeah, and Suzuka's one of the hardest tracks for corners.
Yeah. And
high speed as well. Some of them, again, 130R, such a high speed corner.
That Alonso move and Schumacher a couple of years ago was amazing. I'm going with Lando Norris.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought I was about to hear Hamilton.
Boring.
No, I just think Norris will bounce back this weekend and get the pole. And in the last 2 years or so, that McLaren's gone really well there. They've got podiums. I think both years they've gone there. So
yeah,
I see Lando Norris coming back this weekend.
Cool.
Right, P1, 2, and 3 then.
I'm gonna go with Norris, Verstappen, Hamilton.
First, second, and third.
First, second, third.
I'm gonna go
winning or
Hamilton third.
I'm going Piastri, Norris, Leclerc. That's what I'm gonna go with.
No, I'm going with a Norris win, a Piastri, and then Verstappen. I know it's boring, but I just think where the track is so dependent on the aero and stuff, I just feel like McLaren will go strong.
I feel like there's going to be some crazy incident though, and I feel like Leclerc's going to find a way to P3.
Fair.
Yeah.
Right, P10.
P10.
See, we're being
such
different.
A hard thing to predict.
We're being different. Everyone predicts top the podium.
Yeah. I like it. I think we change it every week as well. So
yeah, all right.
P10, and then next week we do like P13. Or...
Yeah, just pick random ones.
P10. It's just going to be Alex Albon, isn't it? It's Alex Albon.
I'm going Sainz. Sainz at P10.
It's already happened. Albon he's finished P10. He's done it. It's happening.
I don't know.
You just got to think of
it's such a thinker. You have to think about it.
I never thought who would ever finish P10.
Exactly. Check the name out of it.
Who am I going to go with? P? I still can't. I'll go whoever's in that other V-carb car. If it's Yuki or if it's Lawson, one of them two.
Okay.
Whoever's in that car.
Okay.
Whoever's in it.
Yeah. Right, then whoever finishes the race last.
Yeah, not a retirement. Yeah. Otherwise it goes on random.
Actually lost.
I'm gonna go Bortoletto. It's boring, I know, but
I'm going Hulkenberg. Nico Hulkenberg.
Lance Stroll back down to reality, maybe.
After we've been praising him
I hope he does well. I want to see Lance Stroll do. I don't like seeing drivers, being criticised and doing poor and things, but I'm gonna go with Lance Stroll.
Cool. Is that everything then?
Yeah.
I've got a little quiz kind of done up.
Go on then.
Oh. If we got time, how long have we been recording for?
Yeah,
very quickly though.
So I've done.
How are we gonna do it? Are we basically buzzing in or like? And if
I'm just gonna. We should have the whiteboards for this.
No, it's fine.
Oh, it's fine.
Right. Yeah, how should we do it? Yeah. Just
you've got
buzzing. Buzzers.
You've got the old. You've got the old things.
Right. So right. What should we do?
I wouldn't say buzz. Just say it.
Whoever says it first.
Yeah.
You're going to demolish me on this.
Right.
Maybe not. I don't know. Well, I'm the permanent host on this. You're stepping in this week, so I should hopefully do well.
Right. So 3 questions are based on Melbourne, and 3 questions are based on China.
Okay. Well, I watched them carefully, so hopefully.
Yeah. I don't know how easy or hard they are, depending on.
Let's get into it.
Let's
come on.
Come on,
give it to us.
Right. How many laps was the Australian Grand Prix?
57.
57.
Oh.
Wait, was that right?
Yeah. Go on.
Oh.
Right. 1 point to you.
I was close.
I don't know why I knew that. For me, it's one of those things I don't look at, but then in my head, when I think about it, I just know it.
Yeah. Where did Lewis Hamilton finish in Australia?
No, eighth. No, ninth.
8th.
No, it's eighth. It's eighth. It's eighth.
You said 9th.
No, 10th. He finished 10th.
10th.
Yeah, because Piastri overtook him last. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did that take me so long? Yeah, it was Hamilton, Piastri, Leclerc.
Christ.
I was getting confused with Leclerc.
By the way,
They're
when
like
I do
fish out
when
of
I do the
water.
questions, there will always be a Lewis question in these. So just
I'm not surprised.
You know.
So we're allowed to just keep answering until we get it right.
Yeah. Let's
All right,
do that.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
a bit of fun. Yeah.
There we go.
Shout out.
All right.
Where did Kimi Antonelli
Second,
start
8th,
in the
9th,
Australian Grand Prix?
15th,
4th,
12th,
5th. No, 6th, wasn't it?
20th, 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th,
No,
15th.
we've got
just do
come
that.
on. We've got to just
Okay.
say
In,
it.
in Australia, where did Kimi Antonelli start the race?
7th,
I think it was 5th. I think
6th,
9th.
Use a way off.
13th.
You're getting
Oh no,
closer.
he started like 16th. He went out in Q1. Yeah, 16th.
Yeah.
Did I not say 16th?
No.
Well, you probably said it when you were going well up the
Well, you said we can
No,
keep going.
16th. Because I remember now he went out in Q1. I don't know why I didn't think of that straight away.
I think we should take it in turns of answering.
If we don't know it, yeah.
So I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
just rattle off
Yeah.
answers.
Obviously, if one of us knows it straight away, then say it. But
Yeah, yeah.
after that,
We'll
take
adjust that
turns.
for next week. Let's just
Yeah,
go
that's
with
right.
let's go with the format now.
Oh, we're working on it.
We're working on it.
It's a
It's
work
the
in
first episode.
progress.
I kind of said this earlier. What was the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen in the Chinese
5.
sprint qualifying?
0.081.
5. That's bad.
No, you're kind of close. In a way.
Well, should we just
Oh,
have a
wait,
closest
so
win?
how many-
Our
okay,
closest
okay,
How
okay,
many,
wins,
how
closest
many
wins.
decimal points are we going?
It's in the hundredths.
Well, it's in what I said, isn't it? The 0.081.
Yeah, 0.0 something.
0.85.
What was it? Because it was whoever's
1.8.
closest.
1.8.
So I'm closest.
It was 0.018.
Oh, it was even closer than I thought. Oh,
Yeah.
see, I had it the wrong way round. I had 8-1
that's what I'm
rather
saying,
than
yeah, that's what I'm
1-8.
saying. You're kind of close, but not at the same time.
Christ, I'm like a fish out of water. Should have watched the highlights before I come on.
Did you not watch the races?
I did. Just not this in depth. Just watch them.
I'll make it a little bit easier next time.
Yeah.
Well,
No, these are good. I like this. This is good. I've got most
you
of these.
need to watch the race closely.
Yeah, this is
yeah,
it just shows I need to
See,
actually.
this is why
question.
I'm the permanent host.
you got to earn your worth.
Yes, 4-0.
It's
4-0.
It's all right.
How many points did Haas score in China across the weekend?
16, something like that.
14.
Correct.
Yeah, have that. You just want to. I just love Haas.
I knew. See, I
Sorry,
didn't
Liam.
want to spend ages working out because I knew they finished P5 and
That's literally what I
P7 after the. Sorry, P5 and P8 after the
Yeah.
disqualifications, but I couldn't work out how many that was.
4-1. Gonna win 5-4.
Right.
You can't.
I can. Last question's worth 4.
No, it's not.
Um,
No, it's not.
right.
Let's think about
So.
Lewis Hamilton because he said there's a Lewis question in each one.
Oh, we had the Lewis question. That was
Yeah.
Oh, see, I
Bloody
thought-
hell,
I-
listen, bloody hell.
I thought you meant across like each Grand Prix.
No, I did it for Melbourne.
Oh.
I did it for China. The Hamilton Verstappen.
Oh yeah,
sprint.
oh yeah, of
Might need
course.
to wrap it.
Oh, you're not listening.
Christ.
we go speed.
I'm out of it.
Right. Final question. Who?
How many
currently-
points is it worth? It's got to be worth 5 points.
No.
It's got to be worth 5
one.
points.
Come on, you can't just cheat to win.
Yeah, we can.
Who currently sits bottom with 0 points in the Constructors' Championship?
Hulkenberg.
Constructors.
Bottom.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, I
constructors.
didn't. Yeah. Oh.
Not Kick Sauber. It will be. Oh,
First one to come in, butts in.
it's not Williams. It's not Alpine.
Correct.
Literally,
Alpine.
I had the Alpine logo
Yeah,
in my head.
yeah,
I just
Alpine.
wasn't saying Alpine.
I was just going through the teams and working out where they were finishing. I realised I don't think Gasly's finishing the points yet because he got
No.
disqualified as well.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
literally had the A in my head. I'm just sitting there. Just didn't say Alpine. Well,
Yeah, well played.
GG's.
All right, well that
GGs.
one was worth 5 points, so you lost
No.
9-1.
how it all changes. How it all changes.
Right, I think that's going to wrap it up for the first episode of the Chequered Show. I really enjoyed that. We're going to be doing another episode next week as well.
Yeah, so these come out on Tuesday. So
This will come out on Tuesday before the Japanese Grand Prix. So yeah, we're going to do another episode. I don't know what we're going to do yet. We have no races to talk about. Maybe do a little preview for the upcoming races and such. But thank you guys for watching the Chequered Show over on the Blue Podcast Network. What are you doing? Why have you not subscribed? Make sure you do that. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, and
TikTok, Instagram,
anything,
all that stuff. It's all linked. So just do all that stuff. And thank you very much for listening. And peace.